Hello guys, welcome to a new video. So just before we get into this one, just a bit of background on the channel at the minute. So unfortunately I haven't been able to get a 6.4.2 video out of with the Thor Ragnarok boss, and you would have seen the Darkhawk one recently. I have been having a few issues with my iPhone storage and being able to screen record some videos. That's all sorted now, so a lot of the videos, all the fights will be there. However, for this video in particular, you will not be able to see the boss fight, and for the last video, for the 6.2, 4.2, the Thor Ragnarok, you weren't able to see any of that because it basically all corrupted, it all deleted itself, and I wasn't able to get any of it. So that's why you haven't seen those videos. I'll be looking to get some of those up in time, but as of right now, I won't be able to go back through the quests and do them. So let's get into this one. So this is 6.4.4, the Captain Marvel movie boss. I took the lane of Limber, Personal Space, and Footloose. So Limber, obviously, every time you stun, stun lasts 20% less each time, so eventually they'll be stun immune. And then Personal Space gives them a Fury every time you are in their vicinity or close to them. And then those Furies drop off the further away you get. And then Oscillate, which they move between a Fury and a Armor Up of 300% potency. So I thought this was a bit easier than the other lane. The other lane is Hot and Bothered with Icarus. That is, if you've got lots of Incinerate immune champs, take them in. That's probably a bit of an easier path. However, I took this one as I don't have many of those champs. So first fight we had Ghost. The Ghost fight is probably the easiest one on here. It's just your simple Ghost fight. Just don't get too close to her. Don't get hit by. Don't try and block those specials. They're easy to deck, so if you don't block them, you won't take much damage. Then we've got the Spider-Man, who you just saw. So for me, I think the key to these fights are taking a Miss Champ and an Evade Champ. So your Miss Champ will help you for the Ebony Maw that's coming up, and then somebody like Falcon will help you for Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen, and then also for the MODOK, who is also coming up to stop that auto block. So they were the way I brought in the Falcon to deal with those two, and then Professor X to deal with the Ebony Maw. There are a lot of champs who will help you with that. Will be champions like Nick Fury, Hercules works, Falcon, any sort of your evade immune or champions who can deal with evade easily. So yeah, that's relatively a bit of an easier one. And then the Ebony Maw coming up, that is miss counters. So again, your Hercules, Cosmic Ghost Rider if he's got Vigilance, Professor X with Vigilance, Human Torch he will work really well. Human Torch will work really well for a lot of this path. They're sort of your main counters for the path fights. And then going on to the boss, you've got we'll get onto that a little bit later in the video, just so it doesn't come at multiple times. So this MODOK boss, or this MODOK fight, was a little bit tricky. It's just a regular MODOK, so it's not too hard as long as you don't get hit. If you've got somebody who can not get hit by auto blocks or who doesn't trigger auto blocks, then that can be really effective. As sort of that's what I had here with Falcon. It made the fight a whole lot easier. And then it's just your regular MODOK fight. Again, nothing too much to say about it. As long as you've got that champion who doesn't trigger evades, then this fight can be a lot easier and is sort of something probably not to worry about. So now we'll move on and just let you know what the boss is, as obviously, unfortunately, I wasn't able to record it. It's not a super difficult boss, I must say. So Thora is obviously the Captain Marvel movie. Just the same way you would play her, don't let her get to that SP2 if she's in binary, otherwise it goes unblockable and you'll get killed by it. However, if you can keep it to SP1, that's relatively easy to dex the beam and then dash back, and you won't get hit by when she jumps in the air and then comes back down. On the bot, what nodes are on the boss? So you've got Close Encounters, so she regenerates 1% of, or you regenerate 1% of your health while close to her, but get hit with the degeneration while further away. She's also got Crumbling Armor, so every time if you haven't landed a hit, you'll get an armor break debuff, and then obviously if she's hitting into your block, that will do quite a bit of damage. She's got enhanced armor breaks, so those armor breaks that she does get that do get put on you are 40% more effective, so they will do a lot more damage, and her heavy attacks can't be interrupted. She also generates more of her energy charges, and if you knock her down, she gains 3 of them. So there is a high chance that she'll come and go, or she'll go into her binary. So with that one, you've just got to make sure she doesn't go in it. We'll get good counters we'll come back to. We'll just go into this Ebony Mar fight. So like I said, a Mist champ is somebody who you want to go in with, somebody who doesn't get hit by, or who can basically counter miss. Your Nick Furies are really good. Human Torch is probably the perfect one since it's an Ebony Mar as well. Professor X does work. So apart from that, it's the same. Keep him to his SP1 because you can easily dex that. If he does end up doing his SP2, then don't worry. Just hold the block. You will take a bit of a block damage, but it's not the end of the world. It's nothing to worry about. Other than that, the fight is still, remember, he is stun immune, or will be stun immune because of Limber. Easy ways to counter that Limber are you can bring in Magneto White, and his guidance will allow for a sort of a passive stun, so that that bypasses Limber. Apocalypse can also work. Bishop can work, and Storm Pyramid X. So they're all ways you can go to counter this Limber and counter this Ebony Mar. They're the counters for him, and then we'll get onto the counters for Captain Marvel movie as well. So easy counters for her. Rintra was made the fight a lot easier. Null also can take the fight. Really, it's any champ. Champs who would do a bit better are those who nullify or neutralize buffs. Doctor Doom works. Symbiote Supreme is a really, really good boss. He sort of absolutely shines in this. Tigra would work. Quake, obviously, because you're not hitting her. Any of the sort of new champs, Gallon, Quicksilver, so on. It's not really a fight where there are any specific champs that you need to have, otherwise it will not work, like the Mr. Sinister fight in 6.2. Obviously that one you need a Fury and can be a real pain, whereas this boss fight is less stringent and can allow you to bring in whoever you want, really. Then we have this Guillotine 2099. Obviously when she goes invisible, we'll also have Miss, somebody who can counter Miss, works a lot on this. Same, Human Torch is probably really good champ for this path. Unfortunately, I don't have him, but would work really nicely and will work. And then after this fight, you've got a Invisible Woman who, again, when she goes, will also go invisible. So another Miss counter would be really useful. Obviously, you can see here I get clipped. These, I must say, weren't any of some of my cleanest fights, this path in particular, and then the same with the Darkhawk one. I just didn't play those very well. You'll see in my next 6.4.5 video of the symbiote or tech symbiote, I played that one a little bit nicer, so you're able to see probably closer to my real skill level, rather than constantly having to use revives and so on and so on. And then in a minute, we've got the Invisible Woman boss. I usually fight her with Ultron because I find it a lot easier. He gets big bleeds on her and she takes a lot of damage in that sense. So that can be make it a little bit easier. And then after that, we have a Nightcrawler mini boss. So unfortunately, he is also not in this video. That was where I started recording for the boss fight and it did not save. He has Biohazard and he is bleed immune. So of course, he evades loads still, so you can't really take in usually I'll bring in Falcon, you can't use Falcon. Professor X also, he can't use him. So anyone who can, whether you just parry heavy with somebody like Warlock, which probably should have been the way I went, I think it in the end was the way I went, or you just parry heavy with Ultron or someone like that who does a lot of damage over time, or the parry heavy won't work so much with Warlock because he's bleed immune, but will still do some damage. The Ultron one is much better, as obviously he changes to degenerate when it's on mutant, so he works. Or you can go in with your sort of robots who may have evade counters, or evade counters who are bleed immune. They work the best. There's obviously the poison, as long as you don't hit into his block, is less likely to occur. So a bleed immune evade counter would be really good. Ghost works in that sense. She-Hulk obviously doesn't get that that poison. Stealth Spider-Man, he obviously gets hit by them, so he will not work. And Awakened Iceman sometimes can work, and so there is a lot of options out there, and it's nothing to... It's a tricky one, but if you can parry heavy with somebody like Ultron or Warlock, then the fight isn't too tricky, and you should be okay going into it. Especially if you're able to do the rest of the fights on the path. Apart from that, that's basically the video. As we've said, this is the Invisible Woman fight, and unfortunately I've not got the boss fight and the Nightcrawler mini-boss. Those are my biggest tips, though. Remember that you have to take in somebody who is... kind of counter evade and counter miss, and then also, if you can, evade counterer who is bleed immune, at least, preferably bleed and poison immune, to get rid of that Nightcrawler. But then after that, the Captain Marvel movie boss isn't too tricky, and you should be good to go and finish her off. So good luck in your quest. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.